Hello everyone. I am Navarun sir, Senior Subject Master of St. Paul School. You are watching my channel THINKONOMICS-Study with Navarun sir. It's a quite good response in last two videos which I have uploaded. Yeah, it has motivated me to teach you more of economics in much more easier and simplified way. Yesterday I was just having a talk with the head of the Department of Geography, Mr. Michael Datta. His son, Himangsu Datta, he is now studying in St. Stephen's College, the renowned college, the premium college of India, doing his English honors over there. So I just heard from Mr. Michael Datta that Himangsu was actually a bit sad, saying to his father that, Dad, if I could have studied economics in plus two, it would have been better. I asked her why. Sir, Himanku said that the students in St. Stephen's, they are getting absorbed in the best firm and the industries of India before they are graduating, and the package starts from near about 24-25 lakhs per annum. So, my dear students, if you are taking this subject, economics, as a sixth subject, and you are not giving enough amount of time, I will request you, please give much more time, because India is now just a sleeping giant. You can say within few years, India will wake up and they will need more and more managers, more and more economists to run their firms, to run the multinational companies. That's why I have just given the example of one of my previous students who is just doing very well in St. Stephen's. Now, coming to my class, in the last two lessons, I taught you the difference between desire and demand, the different types of demand, which I am not saying it once more. Then how to get the demand, individual demand curve from the individual demand schedule, market demand curve, how it will be derived from the individual demand curve. We have also studied the reasons for the negatively sloped demand curve, mainly because of the three reasons: income effect, substitution effect, and law of diminishing marginal utility. Most of the time, as I said before, the question comes, long answer type question comes in your ICSE board exam regarding what are the reasons for the negatively sloped demand curve or the downward sloping demand curve. 7 marks question. By chance, if you do not get the 7 marks question, then definitely short answer type question comes. What do you mean by income effect? Or what do you mean by substitution effect? It will be of 2 marks. So definitely from this portion, the question comes each and every year from the ICSE uh, for your board exam or for your ICSE exam. The question which arises from here is, will the demand curve be always negatively sloped? Or is it always true that the price and the quantity demand by an individual will always move in the opposite direction? This question may arise among you, among any common individuals. The answer to this question is that normally price and the quantity demand, they moves in the opposite direction when the other factors, as we have done in our previous lesson, like income of the consumer, taste and preference, price expectation, government policies, If all these factors remain constant, then price and quantity demand will move in the opposite direction for the normal good. See, I have used the term normal goods before also, and now also I am saying this is very important, because if the good is not a normal, I'll just come to this one, then this relation may not take place. For example, conspicuous consumption. You know what is conspicuous consumption? Sometimes people buy the commodities just to show off that they are rich. So in this case, if the price increases, then the people will purchase more of that commodity in order to show that he belongs to a richer class of people. Diamond ornaments, platinum ornaments, if the price of these ornaments increases, people do not reduce their consumption. Just in the opposite way, people start buying more of the diamond ornaments, of the platinum ornaments, in order to show that they are rich. They are just rich. So in this case, law of demand is getting violated. Demand curve in this case will not be negatively sloped, because here the price and the quantity more both are moving in the same direction. If the price is increasing, then the demand for the diamond ornament or for the platinum ornaments will also increase. So here the demand curve is positively sloped, and this is an exception to law of demand. The second exception is that if the commodity concerned if the commodity concerned is very, very insignificant in our total expenditure, in our total monthly expenditure or yearly expenditure, then in that case also, if the price increases, the quantity demand will not decrease. If the price increases also, then also the quantity demand will not decrease, but it will remain the same. Let me give you an example. The example of salt. All of us are using salt. Without salt, you cannot cook, you cannot have any taste for any food which you are consuming. But what's the price of the salt? 1 kg of salt may be rupees 30. How many kgs we are using per month? Maybe 2 kg. That is rupees 60. So suppose a person whose income is supposed to rupees 60,000, he is not even spending 1% of his total income on the salt. Now, if the price of salt increases from rupees 30 to rupees 40, all right, rupees 30 to rupees 40 means near about 30% increase in price. Will the demand for salt decrease? The answer is no. The answer is no. In this case, the demand for salt will not decrease, it will remain the same, because we are spending a very insignificant portion of the total income on salt. So people will not be bothered. So in this case, what will be the demand curve? The demand for the salt remains the same, whatever be the price. If the price increases, if the price decreases, the demand for salt remains the same. So in this case, the demand curve will be a straight line, parallel to the price axis, that is parallel to the vertical axis. Please keep it in mind. Okay, the first example I have given it to you, the conspicuous consumption, exceptions to law of demand, which is positively sloped, that as the price increases, demand is also increasing. In this example, which I have given, another exceptions to law of demand, in this case, if the price is increasing, then the demand is remaining the same. This is also an exception to law of demand, but in this case, the demand curve is different. In this case, the demand curve is a straight line parallel to the price axis. Actually, this is called perfectly inelastic demand curve, which I will explain in the next video. Just now, for now, you just remember that it is a straight line parallel to the price axis. Next exceptions to law of demand. This though I found in most of the school in which I taught and which I am teaching just now also. Most of the students from here, they comes from the affluent family, being the boarding school. So in this case, I have observed the boys that if the price of the good is more, then they think that the quality of the good is better. Then they think that the quality of the good is better. They do not go by the quality of the material, they go by the price of the commodity. And this has been observed initially by Professor Veblen. He saw, he observed that there are some group of people who think that price is the indicator of the quality of the good. So if price is more, then the quality of the good is better, and they will purchase more of that good. So here also there is a positive relation between the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded for that commodity. Here also the demand curve is positively sloped, just like that of the conspicuous consumption or conspicuous good. Another exceptions to law of demand. Being the students of economics, all of you know a little bit of the share market. At least you have heard about the share market. Now, how share market works? If I say in two or three lines, generally in the share market, if the price start moving in the upward direction, the price of the share increases, then the people will start purchasing more of the shares. Now you may ask, sir, why it is so? If the price of the share increases, why the people will purchase more of the shares? Because for the share market, people speculate, consumers speculate that if the price is increasing now, it will increase more in the coming days and in the coming months and in the coming years. So if I purchase the share now when the price is increasing, then I will be able to sell the shares at the higher price in the coming days and reap the profit. And reap the profit. So in this case, what we are seeing? That again, if the price is increasing, then the demand for the share will also increase. Positive relation. Just in the opposite way, if the price of the share decreases, what the consumer will do in this case? They will start selling the shares. They will start selling the shares instead of buying it, because they expect that in the near future, the price of the share will go down more. The price of the share goes down more, which indicates that they may earn more loss. So in order to reduce the loss, they will start selling of the shares. So share market is another example where the law of demand does not work. Exceptions to law of demand. Here also the demand curve is positively sloped if we take price on the y-axis and the quantity demand on the x-axis. Okay. Okay, the last one. There are many exceptions, but this is the last one, is quite important, all right? It comes in your ICSE also. That is the Giffen goods. Professor Giffen He has observed in Ireland during the time of 19th century that the poor people of Ireland, again I'm saying it to you, the poor people, all right, the poor people of Ireland, they used to consume mainly potato and little bit of meat. Okay. Mainly potato and little bit of meat. Now, as the price of potato has increased in Ireland during that time, during 19th century, all right, people of Ireland, they have reduced the consumption of meat and has increased the consumption of potato. See, actually what it should be, as the price of potato has increased, the demand for potato must decrease. But it has been just the opposite. They have reduced the consumption of meat and has increased the consumption of potato because potato was their main consumption item. So in order to survive, they have reduced the bill or the expenditure on meat and have transferred that amount for the consumption of potato. This is another exceptions to law of demand. This is another exceptions to law of demand. Boys and girls, question comes in ICSE. The difference between the Giffen good and the inferior good. I have already said it to you what is inferior good. That if the income increases, then the demand for that commodity will decrease. So that is the relationship between your income and the quantity demanded. But in case of Giffen good, this is the relationship between the price and the quantity consumed. And here the demand curve is positively sloped. Sometimes they give it to you the question, give two exceptions to law of demand, you can give any two. And if they give you the tricky question, then as I have started with, that will the demand curve be always negatively sloped? Then in that case, you have to start the answer that generally the demand curve is negatively sloped. That is, there is an inverse relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded. But it is not that every time it will be negatively sloped. There are exceptions. So in that case, if the question is of 7 to 8 marks, I think once it came in ICC as I was checking the paper, then in that case for 7 marks or 8 marks, you have to give at least 4 exceptions to law of demand. All right. So this is another important topic you can say for your ICSE. Next, we are now coming to the next topic, that is movement along the demand curve and shift of the demand curve. Now, before I start to this one, as I said it to you before, as I am not professional YouTubers, just starting this one in order to reach more and more students and more pupils. If you like my way of teaching, if you are thinking that economics and economic application is becoming much more easier for you, I will ask you to subscribe my channel, that is Thinkonomics Study with Navarun sir, and will ask you to share with your friends and relatives so that I can reach more number of people and can help them out and can bring more interest for the subject. Okay. Now coming to the movement along the demand curve and shift of demand curve. Let me first start with the shift of demand curve. Boys, in the law of demand, I said it to you that if the price increases, then the demand decreases, where we have assumed that the other factors are remaining the same. Other factors are remaining the same. Now, if we relax these assumptions, at least one assumption, if we relax at least one assumptions, okay, keeping the price of the commodity same, what will be the impact on the demand curve? That we have to find out. Suppose, for example, you want to purchase the cricket bat. All right. You want to purchase the cricket bat. The price of the cricket bat remains the same. Maybe rupees 5,000. All right. You want to buy a SS cricket bat of rupees 5,000. Now, if your father's income or your mother's income increases from suppose 50,000 to rupees 60,000, but the price of the cricket bat remains the same, what will happen in that case? You may ask your parents to buy one more cricket bat. So at the same price, you are purchasing more. In the same way, another individual X, he will also purchase more as the income of his parents are increasing. So if we see in this way that if the national income of the country increases, national income, the income, okay, the sum total of all the incomes generated in a country in a given year, that is called the national income. So if the national income increases and the price of the commodity remains the same, then definitely the aggregate demand for that commodity will increase. So people will start purchasing more of that commodity at the given price. What will happen to the demand curve? In this case, the whole demand curve will shift in the rightward direction. The whole demand curve is shifting in the rightward direction. That is, at the given price, the consumer can purchase more of the commodity. This is also known as increase in demand. This is also known as increase in demand. Just in the reverse way, if the national income of the country decreases due to some reason, maybe because of the recession, maybe because of the depression, you know that the country is now going on the verge of depression, on the verge of recession, if you follow it properly. Unemployment is increasing. Income inequalities are increasing. India is moving towards a recession. So in this case, what will happen? If the country's national income is decreasing, in that case, at the given price, individuals will be able to consume less amount of good. So the whole demand curve shifts in the leftward direction. The whole demand curve shifts in the leftward direction. This is known as decrease in demand. And this whole shifting of the demand curve to the rightward direction or to the leftward direction, which is known as increase in demand or the decrease in demand, all right, this is known as the shift in demand. This takes place when, boys, you have to keep it in mind, when the price will remain the same and you relax only one of the factors which affects the demand. In this case, I have taken the income of the consumer has increased. There are other factors also. For example, if the price remains the same and the producers through the advertisement, all right, through the advertisement has developed, has imbibed the taste, all right, for that commodity to the consumer. producer by giving the advertisement again and again, again and again, what will happen? It will come to our mind that this product is better. All right, we develop a taste. We develop a taste for that commodity. So if the price does not decrease also, we will purchase, most of us will purchase more of that commodity. So again, the demand curve will shift in the rightward direction, which is known as increase in demand. Just in the opposite way, if you develop a distaste for the commodity, all right, you are going on consuming Cadbury, okay? You are going on consuming Cadbury. You got bored. You don't want Cadbury now. You want to have the Milky Bar, maybe. So even if the price of the Cadbury remains the same, and if we develop the distaste for Cadbury, what will happen? The demand for Cadbury at that given price will decrease because people now, they are not liking Cadbury. So the whole demand curve is now shifting in the leftward direction, which is known as decrease in demand. There are many other factors. The price of the related goods. Boys and girls, when we are talking about the related goods, we are mainly concerned with the substitute good and the complementary goods. Suppose, for example, a tea and coffee. And if we are concerned with the demand curve of tea, suppose, for example, we are concerned with the demand curve of tea. All right? And the price of coffee has decreased. There is no change in the price of tea, but the price of coffee has decreased. What will be the impact on the demand curve of tea? In this case, as the price of coffee has decreased, then the number of consumer for tea at the given price will be reduced or it will decrease. Because people now are more attracted toward coffee. So the whole demand curve for tea will shift in the leftward direction. It will shift in the leftward direction. But this is not the case for the complementary goods. In case of complementary goods, the goods which are used together, I have given you the example of petrol and petrol-driven car. You must have observed that if the price of petrol increases, as it is happening in India, isn't it? For the last 5-6 months, we have seen that the price of petrol and the petroleum products is going on increasing. If the price of petrol increases, then what will happen to the demand for the petrol-driven car? If the price of petrol increases, then the demand for the petrol-driven car will decrease. That is, both of them are moving in the same direction. The whole demand curve will shift in the leftward direction. As the price of petrol is increasing, the demand for the petrol-driven car will decrease, and the whole demand curve for petrol-driven car will shift in the leftward direction. That is why you will see that now people, they want the electric car. Maybe sometimes they are going for the diesel car. The reason is this. This is the reason that the price of petrol is increasing. So the demand for the petrol-driven car is decreasing. Excuse me. All right. Let me give you one more example why the demand curve can shift in the rightward or in the leftward direction. That is the government policies. There are different government policies. All right. But for your level, that is for class 10, 9 and 10, we are mainly concerned with two government policy. One is the imposition of the tax. The other one is giving subsidies. If the government imposed tax on the commodity which you are consuming, okay, if the government imposed tax on the good which you are consuming, then the cost of production will increase and definitely the producer will shift it to the consumer. What will happen to the price? The price of the commodity on which the government has imposed the tax now has increased. So in that case, what will happen? If the government gives subsidies, then the cost of production of that commodity will go down. What will happen to the demand curve in this case? My students, this is just your prep. Think what will happen if the government impose tax or if the government gives subsidies to the commodities which you consume. What will be the effect of this on the demand curve? Thank you, boys and girls. Thank you, students. By this, I end my lesson over here. Hope you have enjoyed my lesson. And if you have enjoyed my lesson, if you are liking it, I will again request you to subscribe my channel, which will motivate me more, and share it with your friends and relatives so that I can reach to more number of people and give this country more number of budding economists. So by this, I will say Namaskar, Jai Hind.